Hello! Welcome to the Knit Song podcast. My name is Audrey and this is my podcast about knitting, crochet, sewing, hand dyeing yarn, and whatever kind of crafty endeavors I'm up to from time to time. So this is episode 20. Welcome and thanks for hanging out today. If you are a first-time viewer, I'm so glad you stopped by, so welcome and thank you. If you are a returning viewer, welcome back. Thanks to our new subscribers this week, and I'm just glad you're here to hang out and chat knitting and yarny stuff. So, welcome. I will jump into this week's content. I've been busy. It's been fun. Things are quickly turning into fall. Here in Utah, the colors are starting to change, and it's beautiful, and I'm just really enjoying the seasons changing and the knitting, as they say, the knitting mojo just goes sky high as soon as there's colder weather. It's like all of a sudden I have the desire and the stamina to knit so much more, and I just have this rapidly growing list of things I want to knit. So that's been a ton of fun. So yeah, I will jump in with knitting today. I will start with my knitting content, and it starts with a finished or almost finished object. I haven't woven in my ends, but I do have this project, which is no longer secret. This has been a secret project I have been working on because I designed it. This is the Playful Palindrome Shawl, designed by me, and it is, see, I told you I didn't weave in those ends. I was too excited to show it to you. I just had to put it on anyway. But, yes, it is a very, very squishy, flexible, cozy, just, it's wonderful. I really love it. Yes, and I will show it to you. So this is kind of what it looks like wrapped around. It is a sort of triangle shape, and I will show it to you here. So I called it a palindrome, and you will see my non-woven end, so forgiveness please in advance. You will see the different, whoa, I'm stretching it out a lot over here, but the different colors, and the color scheme is the same forwards and backwards like a palindrome. So you'll see this is fun. Get my stretches in today. You'll see kind of the shape of it, and it's so squishy. This is with 2 strands of fingering weight held together, and oh, it's lush. It's like really fluffy and squishy, and I'm just loving it. This is also one of my first, not my first, but one of my first knits that I've done completely with my own hand-dyed yarn. So that feels really fun, and to have enough colorways to put together something that I love so much was just a super fun accomplishment. So I will tell you a little bit about this pattern and what I'm planning to do with it. At least for right now, I am just wrapping it up. The last couple of, technical things that in writing that I'm making sure that it's clear. It's a very easy pattern. I think not a super beginner, but like a advanced beginner, if that's a thing. So easy, below intermediate, I think beginner pattern. Very fun, very fast, very easy. But I'm planning on sending this out to all of my email subscribers as a thank you. So I do have a website. I didn't mention contact info today, but I have a website, KnitSong.com, and it has a link to this podcast, to my Ravelry page, to my Instagram, and we're putting up a link to my Etsy shop as well on the website. But if you're interested in receiving emails, alerts on what I'm up to, either in the shop or anything that I might be doing, I don't know, locally or events, then please do head on over and sign up for the email list if you'd like to have those reminders. And this will be sent to you as a thank you. Now, it's not quite ready, so I'd say date-wise, starting next week, this will be going. Now, if you've already subscribed, this will be sent out to you as soon as it's ready to be sent out to new subscribers as well. So within the week, expect an email with a PDF for the Playful Palindrome shawl, which is so fun to send out to you. So I'm so excited. Let me tell you a little bit about the colors that I chose. I started with my cherry chocolate chip, and then because it's a palindrome, I ended with my cherry chocolate chip. It's a little bit of a rainy day here, so the lighting is shifting. As clouds are moving, it's getting brighter and darker, so bear with me on that. Sorry about that. As they say, if you don't like the weather in Utah, just wait 5 minutes, it'll change, which I found to be true, and I'll talk more about later. So, cherry chocolate chip is the first and last colorway. Then there's some, I'm just calling it Dusty Rose, not an original name, but it's so the right name for this color. And it's this one. So you can see it's got peaches, roses, and purples. And I'm just calling it Dusty Rose because that's what I think of every single time I look at it. Oh my gosh, I just changed my mind. I could not think of a creative name for this for the longest time until I held it up and just saw it in the viewfinder here. This looks like Princess Peach from Super Mario. I think I want to call this one Princess Peach. Okay, I guess if I made it, I can change the name. So I'm changing the name. Princess Peach. It's perfect because it's got like her whole color scheme going on there. Yes. Awesome. Speaking of Princess Peach, sorry, this is a total tangent from my shawl. I went to Comic-Con for the first time. Last week, I went to the Salt Lake Comic-Con with my husband, and we were invited by the lovely Kristin of Girls in the Yarn Cafe podcast, and we went with her and her husband, or we met up with them there. And they are amazing. They're wonderful people. But they also are amazing costumers. They had like the coolest costumes there. And I posted it on my Instagram. But anyway, if you are, oh my gosh, Dragon Horde Yarn, that's her Instagram. I'll link it below. But her and her husband's costumes were just amazing. But yeah, it was so much fun. And while we were there, I saw a Princess Peach. And as soon as I held this up, or someone dressed up like Princess Peach, as soon as I held this up, it just clicked. That's the name. That's what this is. So anyway, back to Comic-Con and then back to my shawl. Comic-Con was amazing. We saw Dick Van Dyke speak, and he is one of my favorite entertainers ever. I grew up watching him, as so many did, because I watched the reruns, and he just has a special place in my heart because he just has made me laugh for my whole life. So getting to see him in person was amazing. That was so awesome. And then we stayed for a panel and saw Christopher Lloyd and I can't think of his name. Thomas. I can't think of his name. But the guy who played Biff, I'm sure he gets that so much. I will put his name down in the description box because he deserves the dignity of being named. I just can't think of it right now. But he was great. We saw John and Joan Cusack speak. Gosh, so many cool things. Went to a couple panels, did some shopping, and we just had a great time. Hung out with Tristan and Eric, and like it was just such a fun day. It was a really, really cool day. So anyway, I'm working on back to where I started this tangent from. This is Princess Peach, newly renamed, with you as my witnesses. Then it goes into some Telegraph Avenue, but it's held together with a little of some of this chocolate chip, and then that Telegraph Avenue moves into more Telegraph Avenue, but held together with a different color. And that colorway is not named. It is something I dyed. It's purple, and it's behind me. And I couldn't think of a cool name for it. Maybe I'll have another moment of inspiration right now. Nope. Okay. Yeah, it's a really pretty purple colorway that I need to name and dye more of because I'm loving this color. So this middle section is Telegraph Avenue and that purple. Then we've got the same colors repeating. So Telegraph Avenue, Princess Peach, and Cherry Chocolate Chip. But it creates this nice kind of swooshy, stripy blend of colors, and it's just so much fun. And so I really love it. So I was wearing it earlier this way, the most traditional way to wear the triangle shape shawl, and I really enjoy it. It also looks cool like over my shoulders, which I'm actually starting to embrace that way of wearing shawls. I used to think it like looked old-fashioned on me, but it doesn't. Like, I don't know, it looks good, and it feels so comfortable and squishy. So yes, look for the Playful Palindrome shawl in your inbox within a week or two if you are an email subscriber of mine, and if you would like a copy of the pattern for free, go ahead and head on over to the KnitSong.com website, and you can sign up for the email list. But it's just a free thank you to say I appreciate you wanting updates from me. So it's just a thank you. Will I put it on Ravelry? Maybe, eventually. But for now, it's just my thank you gift. And I would like to have a unique thank you gift to give for email subscribers. So that's really what I've been working on, mostly. The second thing that I've been knitting, I posted today on Instagram. It's so exciting, but I've been wanting to cast this on for a while, ever since I saw this pattern. Oh, sorry, I had it on my mannequin, and then it got all tangled, so 1 second. It's the Flax Light sweater. It's the version of, oh, now you can see all my messy books. So, oh, this podcast is full of adventure and surprises today, isn't it? But I have been wanting to cast on a Flax Light sweater because they are so beautiful. I've seen them in person. I've seen them on the website, on Ravelry. I mean, I've seen them so many places. It's by Tin Can Knits, and it is really fun so far. I will show it to you in just 1 second. Sorry. Oh my goodness. Today is just, if you only knew how many times I filmed the hello, welcome to the Knit Song podcast today. Oh my word. I think I did it 15 times and messed up something in every single one. So I finally got it. I think we're just going to have to agree to leave these unbuttoned because I can't get it. Okay. Boy, talk about building up suspense for my flax sweater. Okay. Got it. All that to show you the collar. But this is what I have so far. I really like it a lot. I'm going to try not to poke myself in the eye. Wow, clumsy today. This is in my Glacier colorway, and I dyed this a while ago, and I am so excited to be knitting with it. It's really, I like the way that it's displaying itself. I'm knitting this on Chow-Goo needles. It calls for 2 different sizes, and I don't have the 2 sizes, so I was bad. And I'm just knitting it on one side, so my ribbing is going to be a little bit big, but that's okay. I don't mind that. Yeah, so super easy pattern so far. It's got, you know, ribbed collar. It's knit top down. It's got some cool shoulder details that I will be looking forward to showing you. And I just started it, and I cannot wait to keep going with it. So this is going to be my fun weekend knitting, and I don't know why I'm doing this, but it just felt right because it just fits. But yeah, it's just this cute little collar right now, and I'm loving knitting with it. I am going to do some striping. I can't decide whether I want to try and blend and fade the colors, because that is really on trend right now, and it looks so cool, and I haven't done a faded sweater, and I've wanted to. So I'm thinking about fading these colors, but part of me also wants to do more of a color block. I don't know what I'm going to do with the colors, but so far I've got Glacier, and here is the ball of Glacier, and then the next color is going to be Siren Song, which is another one of mine, so that'll be fun. And then the next color after the Siren Song will be the unnamed purple that I need to name. Woo! Love this color. So together I'll show you all three, because that's way more fun than just showing you them one at a time. There they are. So from top to bottom, I'm thinking that'll be the colors, the main colors that I use. So we shall see how that progresses. I'm excited about that. Yeah, so Flax Light sweater. I think it's free on Ravelry. I got it off of Ravelry, and I'm really liking my first tin can knits pattern. So this is a little bit of what it looks like, and yeah, it's great. Fingering weight and super doable and easy if you haven't done much sweater knitting. It's nice because it's top down, and it's just nice not to have all that seaming to do, I think. So I'm a big fan, and I can't wait to get knitting on that tonight and add a couple inches hopefully. So that is the second thing that I've been knitting. I've been working on my playful palindrome, my, oh, and it's in my little French country project bag I made, my Flax Light sweater, and where should I put it? I'm going to put that right there. And the, sorry, like I said, it's raining today, and so there's a humidity happening with the hair. The next thing that I'm knitting on, I just started working on this again today. I posted on my Instagram ripping out a sleeve. Now this is a sweater that I knit 2 years ago. Yeah, 2 years ago. And I've worn it once. So to fix that, I need to make the sleeves less big. I talked about this on like episode 3 of my podcast. It was like one of the first ones that I had podcast. I don't mind that the body is so wide and the neck is a little wider. I don't mind that at all. But I did knit the sleeves too wide, and they just fall really weird. Because if the body is big and the sleeves are tighter, I think that looks very modern and comfortable and good. But when the sleeves are super wide, it just looks off. And so I pulled back the first sleeve with my ball winder, and that was kind of exciting and scary, but I pulled it back to 6 inches away from the underarm. And that's because that's where I think I can start to just decrease a lot more so it tapers. So I'm going to try and do that. You can see how wide it is. I mean, it's a very bulky sweater, and when I picked it and knit it, I wanted a bulky sweater, and I think I'll enjoy the bulk, and having this to throw over anything, no matter how fluffy the sleeves are or whatever. I mean, not that I would really wear this with fluffy sleeves, but it's just nice to have something you can throw on over everything. Also, this room where I knit and sew and package yarn, and just kind of my office sewing room play area, it gets super cold because it's on the bottom floor of our home, and it gets really cold. And so I think this is going to live down here, and no matter what I'm wearing, I can throw it on over that and have a nice 100% wool sweater. So as long as these sleeves can get a little bit more tapered, I think it's going to work. Actually, now that I'm even looking at it, boy, I'm doing a lot of thinking with you and changing my mind on the spot here today. But I'm thinking I might pull those back even further and start tapering closer to the underarm. Yeah, stay tuned for more on this sweater. Yeah, I'm just not sure. I also can't remember what pattern this is. This was 2 years ago from a book I got from the library. I think I mentioned it on like episode 3 of my podcast, so maybe I can look it up and find it. I think it's called the Twins Raglan sweater. That sounds right. It's from More Modern Top-Down Knits. It's all coming back. I think that's it. So check the description box if you're interested in the pattern. It's a very basic raglan top-down sweater. So we'll see what happens with this one. But I've got it on DPNs, got on some double pointed needles here, and I'm ready to make these sleeves slimmer. Okay, so that's really all I've been knitting. I actually crocheted this week. Yay! And I miss it. I had some fun. I didn't make much progress, but I made the tiniest bit of progress on my granny stripe blanket. And I won't show it because it's only, I added the newly named Princess Peach colorway I added a stripe of that after the Telegraph Avenue stripe. Now, the fun part is what's next. So what I'm going to show is what I'm going to crochet next as the next few stripes. So, here's what I have. I haven't shown these yet. So from some friends of mine that I've met through a local knitting group, they're just wonderful people, and they're just fabulous knitters and talented yarn dyers, and they do everything. But anyway, Deborah of the Meanwhile at the podcast, I did that last time. Meanwhile at the Castle, I'm so silly, podcast. Deborah dyed this, and it's her Lemony Snicket's colorway. Isn't that fun? It's got some gold stellina. You can see it sparkle there. And it's fingering weight, and I love it. So this is going to be the next stripe, and I'm so excited. And this was part of our mini exchange the first time I got to go to the knit night, and so it's so cool because it's a memory, you know. It's really pretty, but it's also like the first time I got to hang out with one of my new friends, and so it's really, really special. So that's this one. And then the next one is from another wonderful member of the same knit night, and this is done by Ella. Now, it's inspired by a certain Star Wars character, and I'm sure you can guess which one. It's inspired by R2-D2, and I think that is so fun. And it's like spot on, like colors and like even the ratio of white to blue to gray and like those pops of red. I think it's perfect. So this is going to be the next stripe. I think I'm going to put a solid color in between these. I was thinking blue. I don't know. Maybe I'll put a couple because I really want each one to stand out. So fun things. And these are going to be the next things that I crochet into my blanket. So thank you so much for my minis, Deborah and Ella. Yes, so that is all I crocheted, and I'm going to crochet probably the next week. I'm looking forward to doing those two stripes. So, yeah. I'm going to move on to sewing. Here we go. Time for sewing. I finished my dress, which I'm super excited about. I talked last podcast about how I so wanted to wear it to picture day at my school and have a teacher badge that has me with a handmade dress. I missed that deadline by about 3 days, which is fine because it's just an ID picture. But I did wear it to school with my sun shower cardigan by Andy Satterland as a complete ensemble outfit. It was a me-made outfit, and it felt so great to wear something I had made to school where I work, and I got so many nice compliments on the dress and the sweater, and it was really, really cool. Just I was just happy to wear something like and feel like confident in an outfit that I had made, not expecting anyone to notice really or comment on it, but just that it would be a nice outfit that I knew I had made, you know, and it felt really good. And that was really fun. And then I got home and I was so tired. It was such a long day, and then I changed and I was like, oh no, I didn't take any pictures so I could Instagram it because I said I would. So it is currently being washed, and I will wear it again to school this week. And I will take a picture when I'm all dressed up with the whole outfit, and I will get it Instagrammed. But it fits great. It was so comfortable the whole day. I was comfortable in both the dress and the sweater, which was like, I felt like that was a major win to have that happen. A lot of times I'm really picky about comfort in clothing, and so to have something that was like comfortable all day is like that's a mark of good things. So I'm excited about that. So I'm eager to move on to my next sewing project. I really want to sew some more. So here's the fabric that I have that I want to make another either dress or skirt or blouse out of. So I've shown this before. I love it. It's rayon challis or chalice, I think it's French. I don't know. It's rayon, and it is another one of the fabric collection by Gretchen Hirsch. And I love it, and I think I want to make a dress out of it. I have enough to make a dress, but I just can't settle on a pattern. Everything, I have a lot of patterns, and I was looking at them, and they just don't seem like they're going to be perfect for this fabric, for rayon. So it's very drapey, and a lot of the patterns that I have are much more structured dresses. So I'm looking, if you know of any good rayon-friendly drapey dresses, any of those patterns, please, please, please put it in the comments below. I would love to hear any and all suggestions for patterns for this beautiful drapey fabric. I would love that. So yeah, thanks for helping me with that. Yeah, I'm just kind of going to keep looking because I love this fabric so much. I really want it to be a pattern that I feel like will fit it well, and something that I will definitely get a lot of wear out of, which, will be exciting. So that's kind of what I have as far as planning to sew. So that's really just future plans for the sewing segment this week. Let's talk yarn dyeing. Whoa, that was like very excited. Yes, I have had so much fun dyeing yarn this week. However, I can't show any of it because it's the secret Downton Abbey colorways that are going to be part of the Downton Abbey, Christmas at Downton Abbey Yarn Club that I'm offering on my Etsy shop, which is KnitSongYarns. So I really want to show it, but I can't because it's a special one-time, secret colorway part of the club. But I will say I'm so happy with how it's turned out. I chose a moment that I wanted to use as my inspiration and then tie in some other memories and moments of those Christmas episodes together. And I'm really happy with, I feel like my inspiration is being accurately reflected in the yarn, and that is thrilling to have an inspiration and have a show that meant so much to me, and to pick moments in that show and then be able to kind of like pay tribute to them or have them show up in something creative that I'm doing. It's just so satisfying. So I really wish I could show it once I send out the clubs, and I'm sure they've all been arrived. Eventually I will show it. There is still room in the Christmas at Downton Abbey Yarn Club if you are interested. It's on my Etsy shop, but those will ship out November 1st so that everyone will get them around the same time, and I figured that would be a good time so you can still have you're kind of in the Christmas upswing and getting ready for that, and that you can have time to knit something Christmassy while you watch some Downton Abbey or hang out with the Crawley family, because I just love that show, and I figured that would be just a good time to get some Christmas yarn. So yeah, I wish I could show it. I'm sorry that I can't, but I'm very, very pleased with it, and I'm very excited. So I have been dyeing yarn. That's all I have to show for my segment, is that I've been doing it. I just can't show it. Yeah, so I think I will move on. So I had another question in the Ask Me Anything thread on our Ravelry group for the podcast. So thank you. It was Dilly from Ireland, I believe. And she asked, you recently mentioned that you moved from San Francisco to Utah. What were the highlights and lowlights of, what were the high points and low points of such a big move? And so I would be thrilled to answer that question. So I'll start with the highlights. So moving itself from one state to another, or from one country to another, I mean, there's a huge emotional part of that, because you're leaving all the things that are familiar, and they're out of access as far as if you're moving 2 towns over, or even 3 hours away, you can kind of go back really easily to your old neighborhood and see the people and the places. But our far long distance move, you know, is like big commitment, and so emotionally there's a lot going on there too. So I think some of my highlights were Utah is so much more affordable than the San Francisco area. We could not dream really of starting our own household out there. I mean, it's just crazy. So many of my teaching friends were all, you know, living with family, which is fine. It's good. We had a lot of good memories living with family there, because we lived with our family for a while. But it's hard when you really want to have your own space, and you want to have some more financial stability. And so it's one of the biggest highlights is seeing that that's actually possible, because growing up in such an expensive area, you kind of wonder, like, I see that it's possible for other people, but is it possible? I've never experienced affordable living. So that's probably been one of the biggest highlights, is seeing that it actually is so affordable and experiencing that type of freedom. So we've been able to like create a budget that's reasonable and live within it, and that's a lot of stress gone, to have your finances more in a healthy place. So that has been a huge benefit. Now, I have a lot of friends here that have moved from cheaper areas. So for them, Utah is the opposite. They're coming from either the Midwest or the South, and they're like, oh my gosh, this is so much more expensive. And I'm thinking, are you kidding? This is so much better for me. So it depends on where you are and where you're coming from. But for us, that's been a major highlight. 2, the mountains. So I always thought Salt Lake City was kind of like out in the desert, and it is. It's definitely high desert. It's high elevation. It's like 4,000 something feet. The valley floor is 4,000 feet high. So it's a higher elevation for sure. But then on top of that, you have these dramatic mountains that just shoot up from the valley on either side. And back in San Francisco, it took like 4 hours to drive up to Tahoe or some of the mountains nearby. So it is so fun to see these gorgeous mountain views all the time, and to drive up into the mountains, and that's only a 30-minute drive to get up to these snow resorts. If you've never been to Utah and you kind of would like to see what I'm talking about, just Google Alpine Loop, Utah. And it's like a little mountain road. It's one of many, but it's one of our favorites. And it's this gorgeous road that just leads up through the mountains, and in the fall it just turns every color imaginable. Robert Redford's Sundance Resort is up there. It's not quite where they have the festival, the film festival. I think they do that in Park City, which is just up and across those mountains. But Yeah, Google Alpine Loop, Utah, and you'll see some images of what I'm talking about. It's just gorgeous and such a different scenery. So I would say highlights have been affordability, the mountains, and I would also say we've met a lot of really great friends out here. So we've had a ton of fun meeting people and making friends. So a lot of our friends are actually also recently moved here too, which is kind of funny. Not all of them. Some of them were born and raised here. But it's fun because it's a popular place where lots of people are moving to every month. There's a lot of industry and growing business out here, so it's getting more and more crowded. But it's cool because a lot of new people coming out, and we've made friends with a lot of neat people, so that's been great. I wrote these down, so it was another thing. Wow. My writing is atrocious. I'm going to skip that one because I don't know what it is. So those would probably be my highlights. I'm sure I'm forgetting 1,000. But the low points. Driving out here through the desert to get here, we had some funny stories where my husband drove the U-Haul and I drove our car behind it because he was towing our other car from the U-Haul. And driving 13 hours through the desert by myself, you know, watching the car in front of me, watching the U-Haul pull, the truck pull the other car and going back and forth in the wind, it was just like, ah! It was such a rough day or two because, you know, we'd been packing and saying goodbye to family and everything, and that was rough. So the initial just effort to just get out here was a lot. And that's the same with any long distance move, but it was exhausting for sure. We had some really funny stories along the way. We stayed at a hotel to break up the journey, and we got our U-Haul kind of wedged in an impossible part of the parking lot and we were so tired that we let it just stay there because it wasn't going to cause any problems there, but we let it stay there for the night, and then in the morning we asked for help. And just a lot of funny things happened, and we didn't hit anything. We got out fine, but just the stress of getting wedged in this little space, oh my gosh. We'll never forget some of those moments, just the panic of, you know, not being normal truck drivers. You know, we don't normally drive huge trucks, so that was stressful and fun. But emotionally, the low point was saying goodbye to family, and it has been really hard to be away from most of our family. We've been able to visit a lot, they've been able to visit a lot, and Skype and things like texting help so much, but definitely it's been a challenge to be so far away from our loved ones, and that's been probably the hardest part, is not just being able to say, hey, let's do this and let's get together, and or when there's an event and everyone's there except for us, that's really hard. That one's hard. So, okay, now I'm going to talk about something kind of silly, but this has been one of the most difficult parts of moving to Utah, is the grid. And Utahns are very, very used to, of course, because they live here and it makes sense, the grid. Everything in Salt Lake City is laid out as a grid. It's square. There's there's streets that go east to west, and there's streets that go north south, and everything is numbered, and it's all like measured, and it makes a lot of sense. So I have a love-hate relationship with it, because as a new person in the town, it's awesome to have a grid to like kind of know where you're going. And if someone says, oh, it's on 300 west and 600 or 6,000 south, I can kind of now picture where that is. So I get it. It works. It's good. But it feels so different because I grew up, now San Francisco downtown definitely has a grid, and perpendicular streets, right? But they're all named and they're not all numbers. So just the number factor alone of oh, you're going to go up 6,000, west, but then you're going to turn on 8,000 north, and just all the numbers for me just confuse me. Even though they're technically simpler and have meaning, they're way harder to remember for me because I'm used to remembering names. So that's been hard. Another thing is I'm used to curving roads. Like the grid, there's no mystery in the grid, which I get why that's good, but it's psychological. It's just different. It feels different to know that everything is pretty much laid out like this. And even smaller streets, for the most part, not completely, but for the most part, really do follow that as well. There are some neighborhoods with some windy roads, and those feel more like home to us when we see those, because that's what we're used to is, the way California is kind of sprawled and developed. A lot of the suburbs, like I didn't live inside San Francisco. When we were there, we were nearby, but I sure was used to like named streets and curved roads, and so the grid out here for me is so different. It's just different, and I'm getting used to it, but that was difficult. Also, with California traffic, you could avoid it in some ways. There were back roads, like windy, like back roads that you could take instead of the freeway, or instead of some of the bigger city roads. And here with the grid, it's harder to find back roads because everything is, I guess, exposed is not the right word, but everything's on the same grid. So if this artery of the grid is really busy, you can go to this one, which is less busy, but it dead ends, and that's why no one goes through that way. And so after trying to find that out, very frustratedly turn around, I feel like it's a different type of traffic. So I'm getting used to this type of traffic versus California traffic. California traffic, you kind of know, you're asking for it. If you're getting on a freeway and you're going into the city over the Bay Bridge on a Saturday, it's going to be trafficy. But if you don't want that, you could take BART, you could take the public transit, you could take, a ferry. There's a lot of different ways. And even when you're not crossing the water, that was probably a bad example, because even when you're just driving from point A to point B, there are some back roads, scenic roads that you can take in California that run fairly parallel to some of the major traffic zones. So there are less workarounds. You kind of just have to sit through the grid traffic and just wait. So that's been different. So I think those are some of the highlights and low lights of moving from San Francisco to Utah. Those have been some of the biggest things. Oh, another one. Wine is not sold in grocery stores out here. You have to go to a liquor store. Now, I'm not a huge fan of alcohol just because I don't like the taste very much. I like a glass of wine once and again, every now and then, but I'm just not much of a drinker. So, but every once in a while I would buy a bottle of wine to go with a certain meal I was cooking. But the biggest way that affected me is that one of my favorite dishes to make is chicken marsala. And marsala is a wine, and so they don't have it at the grocery store. So that's been the biggest frustration I have with the liquor laws here, is just I miss my chicken marsala, because now it's a whole other trip to the liquor store just to buy one ingredient for this chicken dish. So I don't make chicken marsala very much at all anymore, and I used to make it a lot because I love it. So that's been my grievance, is where's my chicken marsala? I don't want to have to go to 2 stores to get the ingredients. But other than that, I don't mind at all that the liquor is not available, because we're really boring beverage people. When friends come over, we're like, oh, we have water and we have lots of different teas and coffees. That's about it. And some almond milk. We're not very exciting beverage people. But anyway, I think that's kind of what I would say about the highs and lows at this moment as I'm reflecting of moving from a large city to Utah. Oh, I forgot one. The ocean. I miss the ocean. I miss the ocean very, very much. I miss having views of the ocean. I miss having views of the bay. I think I miss the water a lot. Now, I love the mountains, so I'm super excited about them. But I do miss the ocean. And for now, our plans are to stay here in Utah, but someday I would like to live by the ocean again. I really would. I miss the smell. Oh, I miss the sight of it. I miss just the loud crashing waves, but then the silence in between. It's just, I just love the ocean so much, and I talk about it a lot, but I really miss that. So I think that's that. I think that is finally it. I'm sorry, I keep remembering things after I say that I'm done, but I'm not. Yeah, so thank you so much for asking, and I hope that answers your question. But it's a great place. Utah is really, really beautiful. So even if you've ever thought about just visiting and you're nearby, it's the mountains especially, like Park City. I mentioned Sundance. I mean, the mountain resorts are just gorgeous, so beautiful, and so it's a really cool place.